Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Football Fignuts podcast. This is episode number 241 overall, but it's the second episode of season 6. My name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we also have with us our favorite contributor. It is the Cinch.
Hello.
Gentlemen, the most important episode of the year is upon us. The running backs episode.
I thought you were going to say tight ends.
Nope. The actual most important episode of the entire year. Every year I go back and I look back and I'm like, what was our most listened to episode this season? And every year it's our running back preview. So the most important episode of the year, the most important episode possibly of your fantasy career. But first, we begin where we always begin. Gentlemen, what are you drinking? Let's start with our guest. Sid, what do you got to drink tonight?
Here, wait. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, that was a good stout. I heard that.
There we go. I was worried for a second.
Oh, that came in nice and clear. What do you got?
I was looking through the back region of the refrigerator, and I found something that always happens every year with me. I get so much pumpkin beer that I end up having it in August.
It floats to the back.
I have a gift from Craig. This is a pumpkin nitro.
Oh.
It's the last can I had. Yeah, you brought this over. I think we were watching football that day. And
I think that's when Britt showed up in a, was that when
some.
Britt showed up in a Santa hat?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that just goes to show how old this beer is. So it's Southern Tier Brewing Pumpkin Nitro. It's very, 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 very good.
Good.
Great. For those of you who don't know, Craig only buys pumpkin beers in months that end in BER. So, but that means any month that ends in BER. If it's December and he sees a pumpkin beer he wants, he will go buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But it will not get drunk before the 1st of September on any given year, which kills me because right now today is the 20th of July. We're about 3 or 4 weeks away from Rosemary's Baby coming out.
Crazy, isn't it?
Right. I hope you have the music queued up because you're gonna need to insert it right there. So, because I can't hear it when he plays the music. Craig probably has already played it twice, and I just can't hear it. But all right, Craig, what are you drinking tonight?
So for me, I have a beer that you gave me. This is Geriatric Kittens. Take Miami
This
Beach.
is good.
So
This is a part of the baby kittens line from Fat Cat. Or is it Orange Cat? Is it Fat Orange Cat? Fat Orange Cat Brewing.
Yep.
And Baby Kittens is like their basic New England IPA, and every time they do a variation, they and the can is just a bunch of cats sitting there, and Baby Kittens is just a bunch of baby kittens. But then they did a sharper version they called Teenage Kittens, and it was just a whole bunch of they were all in like grunge caps and stuff like that. This one, Geriatric, the can was hysterical. One of them is sitting in a wife beater, just kind of like in a lounge chair. The other one of them's walking around with a metal detector.
Yeah, one has a map.
Yep.
One's
a
the
paper
metal
map.
detector. One of them's putting, I guess, suntan lotion on the other one.
Yep. So it's just hysterical what they do with their can art. I really like that. So have you had this yet? You haven't tried it yet.
No, I have not.
All right, well, give us the live taste test. Let's go.
All right.
I'm curious.
Here.
I liked this. I'm not sure if you will.
Ooh.
I think I have one can of this left.
Wow, that changes quick.
Yeah, but don't worry. It evens out. It evens out.
Yeah, there it goes. It definitely, you drink it, it's really smooth, and then all of a sudden it starts to have that bite and dry your mouth out, but not completely.
Yep.
And then it kind of mellows out, like you said.
So what I said to Christy when I tried this beer was, it's like standing on the front porch in Arizona and you see a dust storm is coming. And you're like, oh, crap, this is going to be really bad. And then the dust storm just kind of drops off in front of your house and doesn't affect you at all. That's how the dryness is like. You're like, oh, God, it's getting dry. It's getting really dry. Oh, wait, it's not that dry anymore. Okay, that was weird.
Because there's some beers that will completely dry out your mouth.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
You just have to keep drinking it.
Oh, yeah. So I am drinking diet soda tonight. I had a lovely can of Road to Ruin. It's sitting in the fridge, chilling still. But I've been dealing with some anxiety issues today. So as we all know, that if you give Britt a beer when he's got anxiety issues, he usually ends up standing on the bed at 2 a.m. saying that the aliens are outside. So to avoid the anxiety becoming a panic attack, let's just stick to the diet soda tonight. All right, gentlemen. Burning hot takes. Who wants to go first? I'll open it to the floor.
Craig does.
Craig is going to go first.
Okay. So for me, this actually has to do with a quarterback.
Okay.
The 49ers have given Mr. Garoppolo's agents permission to seek a trade.
Oh,
Do you
jerk.
think he actually gets traded this season? Like, is he going to play for play and start for another team this year? And if so, who?
I refuse to answer your question because that was mine.
Ha!
That was so now I'm literally scouring. I'm scouring looking for something else to ask
So you
about.
should have went first.
I should
Hold
have
on.
gone first.
Didn't we talk about that last episode?
No, not officially. Like, now it's official. He can seek a trade.
Yeah.
We were
the
just
permission to seek
guessing.
a trade is new.
Yes.
Well, he's going to get traded. And I'll throw a random, bizarro team out there. The Detroit Lions.
Okay.
I don't have a reason.
That's because you don't
have
like
Goff.
Mr. Goff, and you ruined his career in the Super Bowl,
He's
and you just want him
broken.
out of the NFL.
No, he could stay in. Just stand behind somebody.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Did I get my head? I'm hearing birds. Is anybody else hearing a tweet?
That might be outside. There's
Okay.
like birds
Yeah,
like
I
right
am hearing
outside
it.
my window.
I
Even
can
with
hear
it
when I
even with
listen
it
for
closed. So
It's
enjoy.
It's part of our new ASMR thing. We're bringing you calming sounds of the wilderness outside Craig's house.
Yep.
This is NPR.
Yeah, basically. So I think he does get traded. I don't know if Detroit's a landing spot for him. I think it's kind of fascinating that this kind of conversation is coming out to the media now as we're getting closer and closer to hearing about what Deshaun Watson might be looking at. I mean, I'm hearing anywhere in the realm of 8. I'm hearing 8-ish games. And, if I'm Cleveland, Jimmy Garoppolo's not the worst looking thing on 2 legs right now. If I got to serve 8 games, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think he will be traded. Where he goes and what he does, he'll definitely be a backup somewhere. I don't think he's going to get another opportunity to start unless there's an injury involved. So, what do you think, Craig? Is he going to get traded, or is he going to get stuck in San Francisco's backup hell?
Yeah, because I don't think the 49ers are going to trade him to Seattle. I mean, it would make sense for him to go there, but they're not going to trade him to someone.
No, they won't trade him into the division. Absolutely not.
Maybe and I know you're driving this train for this quarterback, but
Oh God, here we go.
maybe the Giants. I could see it.
I'm off the Daniel Jones train.
You're officially off. You're not even in a car.
What did I rank him last? What did I rank him last week? I'm looking.
I don't remember.
I have him at 20th. I'm still the highest out of our group, but I have him at 20th. So yeah, I don't think that's I don't think that would consider me being on the train. But so okay, all right.
I think you're holding on to the back of the train, and all of us are off the train. And you're on the edge of the train.
I'm staying just close enough to the train to grab onto it if I think it's going to go somewhere.
Oh, yeah, the train is not moving very fast.
No, this is not a hard train to keep up with.
It's like like one of those old timey steam trains you take, on a little trip.
Yes. So, all right. So I'll go next. So I had to just do this on the fly. So if it's a crappy question, I'm sorry. I'm always fascinated with players who decide they need more money, we saw a lot of this offseason, which is why Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill both have new homes. The latest one to start talking about how much money he gets paid is Darren Waller in L.A. Waller signed a 4-year, $29.8 million extension in 2019. Now, he has vastly outplayed that since. He's second only to Kelsey in receptions and receiving yards the last 3 years. Is $29.8 million for 4 years isn't exactly a small amount of money for a tight end. Should the Raiders be looking to renegotiate now, or should they be waiting till next year when he's into the last year of this deal? Either of you can talk.
You want to go first, Inch?
I will go first.
Okay.
They absolutely should.
Okay.
I'm not saying the Raiders are Super Bowl contenders, but if they were to be Super Bowl contenders with the new coach, the best receiver in the game, adding that to what they already had, they can't add to lose. And he's produced, he's mostly healthy. The Rams have showed us the contracts, the caps, it means nothing. Throw money at him. It's fine. When the next guy needs money, you throw money at him too. It's okay. Cap is crap. I'm done.
I think I'm just going to call Cinch out as biased here because we all know that David Carr is his dark horse candidate for MVP, and he needs Darren Waller to be happy.
I'm just pushing that out there so
That's
one
true.
of you three guys will draft Carr.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's probably gonna be Sean, because if you mention someone as Sean enough, he will draft him.
Oh my God, we used the word Ronald Jones like 3 times in like the course of a month, and last year he was like, Ronald Jones is gonna have a breakout year. Leonard Fournette is old and dead.
Did you know who Ronald Jones was like a week ago?
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. So by the way, just for yes, Sean is normally a part of this conversation. He had a family conflict tonight. He could not be with us. He is fine. Everybody is fine. I am going to rain merciless hell upon him when we get to the rankings because he committed the cardinal sin of group rankings, which is you do not ever put a common last name without some sort of indicator.
Smith.
Particularly when Damian Harris and Najee Harris are 2 different people, and you decided to rank them both. Fortunately, I know he's smart enough that when he put one in the top 10 and he put one at like 30, that who was who. But I was like, what? And then he just writes Walker. Who the hell is Walker?
He's a Texas Ranger.
That's
exactly
right. So I text him, who the hell is Walker? And he wrote the rookie.
So his name is Rookie Walker.
And I didn't respond right away, and he must have realized, man, that's not helping him. So he wrote, the rookie from Seattle. And I went, I still don't know who the hell we're talking about.
Does he mean that he's from Seattle or he's playing for Seattle?
Yeah, did he go to school there? Did he play for University of Washington? Is he playing in Seattle? Did he grow up there? I don't know what that means.
So I said to him to help you look him up because he can't remember the first name either.
Well, that's it. I said to him, finally, does this man have a first name or is he like Madonna? Is he simply known as Walker? Because I kind of need something here. And then like 20 minutes later, he sent me the first name, but by then I'd already closed out the rankings. I'm like, screw it. So you guys can see this at the bottom of the sheet, ranked very dead last because he's the only person who put him on the sheet, is Walker, the rookie from Seattle.
There it is. There, yep, I see it. There it is.
Folks, don't ever sit there and go, you know who I'm going to draft next? Jones. Okay, just don't do that. And don't do it to a guy who invites you to his podcast and wants your rankings on his podcast. Give me goddamn full names. Can you just give me an initial?
That would help. That would help.
N. Harris and D. Harris are 2 different people. I can figure that out. Okay, moving on. Cinch, your burning hot take. What do you got for us tonight?
Okay, my burning hot take question you almost touched on before. Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
Will the NFL, will the community, will the fans, the sponsors, the fellow players, the people in Cleveland, will they accept if he gets an 8-game suspension? Or will this be backlash like crazy and sponsors dropping out and a big problem?
I think it's the big problem no matter how you slice it, because one of the things you just did there in that question, which I like a lot, is you went with many different angles. This is not just about the fans or the sponsors, it's about all these different people that interact with the sphere of influence, for lack of a better term, of an athlete. So I think there's multiple answers to this. The team is going to be upset if he misses a single game. There's no way around that. We all know that. So I don't really care what the Cleveland Browns think at this point. The fans, if he shows up on, let's assume it's 8 games. If he shows up on game 9 and he goes out there and he dominates, they're not going to care what happened in games 1 through 8.
Well, I think the thing that is going to happen is whatever game he shows up, the Cleveland fans are going to give him a standing ovation. And I don't knock the Cleveland fans because I think just about any fan base that had no quarterback and no winning forever would do the same thing. So this isn't knocking Cleveland. It's just a matter of, I don't think 8 games is anywhere near enough.
I agree.
I think you start with a year and maybe 2 years. So
yeah, I agree.
But
I want to do different. You do remember this team did win a playoff game in 2021.
Yes, but looking back at it now, isn't that like fluky? Do you look at Cleveland and say, boy, they're going to be tough? I don't.
Did going into last season, I thought they were going to be way better than they were.
Well, and then I'm saying, and they didn't perform. And now this year, we're another year further down the line. You're going to have a new quarterback, whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at I look at them, maybe they win 9, 8, 9, maybe 10, best case scenario. I don't look at them as a serious winning their division kind of team.
Well, they're in the division with Baltimore and Cincy. I mean, if you put them in the NFC South,
I would
have, or the NFC East, I'd have a cheerier outlook. Yes, but
if
but
you
they
put
can't
them in
control
the
that.
NFC.
If you put them in the NFC, they're probably a playoff team. Let's just say it. But yeah, no, I totally see that. I think that you're going to have positive and negative responses regardless of whatever you get here. And I do, protesters are going to show up because it's a human rights issue for some people. And the people who think he got too much are going to be vocal, and the people who think he got too little are going to be vocal. And no matter what we do and what we see, we're going to see a swift response to this. Craig, what do you got?
Same thing. I agree with Essentially, the 2 to 8 games is just stupidness. It should be a year, like they originally were projecting, at least. And I don't know. The Browns are just so terribly mismanaged.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. And Cinch was right. Like the Texans made a giant. I think the Texans saw this coming and sort of hid it from everyone, and they made that trade, and now they seem really smart.
And you know what? No one is mentioning the Texans anymore. They're saying Watson, the Browns. Nobody mentions the Texans.
No, it just came up. I think it came up once that they were like, giving him like hotel rooms or something, but that was about it.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just a really stupid. That's the wrong word to use. In the NFL portion of it, it just shows that the NFL just kind of makes up stuff as they go along, which makes them look stupid. That's where I was going with that.
In order to avoid problems, they are literally letting the inmates run the asylum on this. 10, 15 years ago, do you think Michael Vick got to hold a meeting with the commissioner and say, listen, here's what I'll accept, and here's what I think you should give me, and here's what we won't challenge you on? No. This has been a recent development in like the last 7 or 8 years.
No.
Where
this year it's the new rule where the commissioner doesn't just come up with the ruling, it's negotiated.
But it's happened before that too. It happened with Brady, where they said we're going to give him this, and they talked him down. They talked them down from a number. So even when it wasn't a rule, it happened. But it didn't happen 10, 15, 20 years ago. It just was, here it is, appeal it if you want to appeal it, but here's my ruling. And now all of a sudden we went from, okay, we're going to look at specific cases based on the situation to, okay, now the rule is let's all get together and decide how bad a person you actually are. And that's insane to me.
And then for the people who are saying, well, the grand jury didn't find anything. That's a whole separate thing. That has nothing to do with what's going on here.
Let me tell you guys something. All right, so inside of what I do, and I talk very little about what I do for a business, but part of it is internal investigations. And I have had at least 2 situations in the 3 years I've done internal investigations for the company I work with where they have violated a state law that is not criminal, but is like a consumer protection law kind of thing. And it clearly violated it, and the cops wouldn't touch it because it didn't meet a state statute. Breaking the law criminally is not the same as breaking the law in a kind of, I'm getting the wrong word in my head. Breaking the law on the criminal basis is not always the same as not breaking the law. You can break a law, you can commit insurance fraud that violates an insurance regulation, but does not meet the standard of a criminal complaint. So the fact that the grand jury came back with nothing is irrelevant to me.
Right.
That just means there's not enough for a criminal complaint, and criminal liability is and should be the strongest burden of proof. But I have had situations where I'm like, I've handed evidence to police officers and said, here's everything I've got. The guy's guilty as hell. And then the cops look at him and go, yeah, but it doesn't meet the criminal statute. That happens. So, yeah, I'm with Craig on this. It does not matter to me that the grand jury was like, no, we're fine. All right, I'm done pontificating.
And there's that.
I mean the hatred that Brady got because he didn't want to hand his phone over. And I know people hate Brady for many reasons that he's earned, but the hatred he got for
his damn
for
avocados, and he doesn't eat tomatoes.
Hand over his phone, and now this guy did everything that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Best case scenario, there is just simply no way he's innocent on 60-something accounts.
Right. Exactly.
There's just no way. So I guess I'm just curious when he comes back. Is it just business as usual? He's the quarterback. Let's go down to the sideline reporter. And how's he handling his first game?
I think that's what they're going to do because that's what the NFL is going to project. So,
yes, the NFL doesn't want us to remember the bad things they've done.
No
one talks about Kareem Hunt kicking a person in a hotel
Nope.
in a hotel hallway. Nobody talks about Tyreek Hill threatening a woman.
What did Kareem Hunt get for his
He got
suspension
fired.
here?
Well, yeah, he got cut. But what was his actual suspension?
I think he was suspended for the rest of the season, but I don't know when that happened.
How many games did that Kareem Hunt suspension? We'll do it live.
Hey,
8 games.
looking back on it now, who cares? You know?
Well, that's what the league wants from us, right? It was 8 games. There's videotape of him walking into a hallway and kicking a woman, and he got 8 games. How many? 20+ allegations of sexual misconduct?
At least.
Shouldn't they be 8 games each? He should be out for 10 years.
In theory. And if you want to go down to how he's settled with most of them, there's still like 4, pending charges or whatever.
Yeah.
At least okay, then make each of those 4 8 games. So there you go.
But you know what? Just because he settled with them
Oh
doesn't mean it's a-okay, no problem.
Oh yeah,
You can't
exactly.
be doing that. Hey, let's move on to the rankings.
It's paid to go away, yes.
Exactly.
Speaking of paying to go away, I'm going to pay you both with beer the next time I see you to move on to the rankings.
Go away.
Because seriously, we are all, and we all take slightly different tags on this or approaches to this, but we're all pretty much of the same mind. This whole situation stinks, and it just keeps getting worse.
Yes.
So, you know what is getting worse? The running back rankings. Let's jump right in. I'm going to give you our top 10. Here is, including Sean's ranking. Sean is not here to defend himself, so by all means, feel free to go nuts on him when it is appropriate. We all have the consensus number 1 of Jonathan Taylor. I want to apologize to Jonathan Taylor right now. Our consensus number 1s never pan out as the number 1. Past recipients of this have included Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley.
Oh boy.
It is
Protect
the kiss
your
of
knees,
death.
man. Protect your knees.
It is the kiss of death, so I want to apologize to Jonathan Taylor. Coming in at number 2 for us is Derrick Henry. This is where we have our first point of contention. And I'm sorry he's not here, but Sean has Henry at 7. He is not a big Derrick Henry guy this year, and that'll be interesting. We can talk about that in a minute. Coming in at number 3 is Austin Eckler. Why is Austin Eckler number 3? Because I don't have any faith in Austin Eckler, and I have him rated low. Coming in number 4 is Christian McCaffrey. Craig has him very low. Sean has him all the way up at 3. Number 5 is Dalvin Cook. Cinch is the lowest of us all on Dalvin Cook, so we'll ask him why in a minute. Coming in at number 6, because Craig's a homer, is Joe Mixon. Every single person on this podcast, except Craig, has Joe Mixon at 6. Craig will tell you where he is when we get to there. Number 7 is Najee Harris. Number 8 is Aaron Jones. Number 9 is Alvin Kamara. And number 10 is DeAndre Swift. Let's start with the oddball numbers. Craig, I want to start with you. You got McCaffrey all the way down at 8. You got Mixon all the way up at 2.
I do.
What are you smoking?
So I am looking at the teams that they are on and their injury history. And I know Joe Mixon has had ankle issues. And Christian McCaffrey, I've drafted him multiple times in different leagues. Christian McCaffrey has multiple injury issue histories. Yeah, multiple injury history. There we go. He has a new
Easy
quarterback.
for you to say.
He has a new quarterback, and I just don't trust the history of injuries that he's had. It's just I don't think he's as durable as he once was, and that's just. And then you look at Joe Mixon. Yes, he's had ankle issues, but he has a completely new offensive line. So I think that is going to shoot Mixon up, and you should get your tickets for the train again.
All right, so Cinch, I want to ask you this point blank, and then I want to ask you about your rankings in particular. You have McCaffrey at 4, and you have Mixon at 6. If McCaffrey and Mixon are both on the board, and like say the 4th pick overall, and you're up, would you take McCaffrey over Joe Mixon? I'm sorry, you had him at 5 and 6.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's tough. If you take McCaffrey and he's healthy, he will be the number 1 running back for the end of the season.
Yeah, but how long will he be healthy is the question.
But see, that's
it's a major question.
That's why I ranked Cook lower than you guys, because I don't think he could stay healthy.
So that's where I was going to go next. So you still have health concerns about Dalvin Cook?
Well, he's earned it. Same thing
That's
with
true.
McCaffrey. Every year these guys get hurt. I don't blame them. It's a tough position, but they get hurt.
Now, to be fair, Dalvin Cook did play 13 games in 2021, so he did miss 4 games. In 2020, he missed 2 games, and in 2019, he missed 2 games. So over the last 3 seasons, he's only missed a combined 8 games out of, 16, 32, 49.
We would
He's
have to
missed
look
8 out of
at
49.
We would have to look it up, but I feel like Dalvin Cook doesn't finish games consistently.
I can work on that. You talk.
Let me answer your question of why am I not high on Cook? Because I've had him these past years in one league or another, and he screws me every time by getting hurt. You know, it's not like it costs nothing to get him. I'm trading really high to get him. I'm drafting in the first round to get him. And if he's going to get hurt in week 13 and miss 13, 14, and 15, or 12, 13, and 14, like the most important fantasy football weeks, it just doesn't help me at all. I don't need a guy who's going to give me a 45 one week and a 6 the next. I need consistency.
And you know what? That's a great point, because he's absolutely right on that. So you guys both brought 2 really good points to the table on this one, which is Craig was like, I feel like he doesn't finish games and it hurts his fantasy value. And Cinch is like, I need consistency. So games 1 and 2 last year, he had 20 touches, then 22 touches. Then he's out game 3. Game 4, 9 touches. He's inactive for game 5, so he misses 2 of the first 5 games, and one of the games he plays, he's only got 9 touches.
He might as well been inactive. That's 3 weeks in a row right there.
That's 9 for 34, So then he comes back, and he's got 29 touches, 18 touches, 17 touches, 24, 22. He has a nice stretch of 5 games where he's got at least 17 touches a game. And then on week 11 against San Francisco, he's got 10 touches, and lo and behold, the next week, he's out. So again, it comes down to finishing games, right? So we have 2 games right off the bat. The game 4 against Cleveland and game 11 against San Francisco, where he clearly didn't finish and he was out the next week. He comes back after another 1-week absence, and he goes 27 carries and 28 carries. He goes into the 15th game in week 16, and he sits out because Minnesota apparently he was not inactive. He just was a DNP, which says to me they didn't have enough to put him on the injury list, but they didn't want to use him because they knew they were drawing dead. The week after that, 9 carries. Week 17, 14 carries. So to your guys' point, there is 4 games where he had 15 or fewer carries in addition to 4 games missed. That's essentially half the season he becomes useless.
Yeah, I mean, he's great for best ball.
He will put up enough points so that if he does the same thing again, he's a top 10 running back. So where we rank these guys and where we draft them are different.
Yeah, I can see that. I want to ask you guys too, moving forward on some of these guys are givens. Like, I'm down on Austin Eckler, but that's because I hate the Chargers. I'm going to be openly honest about it. I think the Chargers are a one-man team. I think Eckler has a lot of capability, but I also think Eckler is. I just don't see it. I don't see him outside of just being a pass catching back. So I rank him down a little bit. But like the rest of our top 10, like Derrick Henry, McCaffrey, we've talked about Cook. Najee Harris had a fantastic year. We got to rank him up there. Aaron Jones has still been number 9. Alvin Kamara is fascinating to me. I want to ask each of you. Alvin Kamara also has the potential specter of a suspension looming over him. Did you rank him lower this year because of the looming suspension or because you have concerns about Kamara on New Orleans or either?
I ranked him that low. I ranked him 11th. I ranked him that low because of both reasons. There's a combination of the two.
Yeah, because you're a Kamara stan.
I am,
high.
and it's starting. The Kamara bus is starting to rust a little bit for me. Mm-hmm. He is going to have those. He might have a suspension. He's had some off-field issues, and the Saints are just in this weird gray area. Like they're not terrible. Their defense is still okay, and I don't know what their offense is anymore. And I feel like when they were doing the 2 running back, committee thing, like he was amazing because they were able to switch him in out and mix up plays. But him being the feature back and then the defense is knowing that he's going to get the ball, I just feel like it didn't work a lot of the time. So
okay, Cinch, are you worried about the Kamara suspension, or you just think that there's other factors?
I think the Saints are a playoff team. Now that's not saying a lot because the NFC has about 5 legitimate playoff teams, and the rest are going to be division. Who knows? Well, I don't think they win the division because I think the Bucs will.
Right, but it's still a weak division. Other than the Bucs, there really isn't much to worry about.
Well, that's a lot of easy wins there. Mm-hmm. I just think the suspension is going to bring him down. He's going to miss games because of that. Then when he comes back, if he does have an injury, that's when maybe he would even drop out of the top 10.
Right.
But I'm not sure his contract status, but he's coming up on that part where he's looking for the second contract. So whether it's after this season, after next season, whatever, he's looking for that second contract. I think they have a solid, good team. So I ranked him 9th. He came in 9th. That's where I think he belongs.
Okay. So I'm gonna tip the scales a little bit here and ask a quick follow-up question here. So one of the things that's interesting about this, and I was listening to this on the Guru the other morning, if these charges are dropped or he pleads out of them, whatever happens, and there is a chance still, I didn't even look at the specific charges, but there is still a chance from what I'm hearing that these charges might just be outright dropped. There we go. Words are hard. If these charges are outright dropped, that is when the NFL would act based on its conduct policy. There's also a possibility that the lawyers try to drag this into 2023.
Ooh.
They make the argument that it's not fair to him to be tried while he's doing this high-profile work. And if a judge is sympathetic, he may sit there and go, okay, the trial's going to be during the offseason, in which case the NFL is not going to touch it because they don't like to touch active cases when they can avoid it. That's part of the reason why they haven't acted on Watson yet, is because there's still some open cases with Watson. So my question to you, if tomorrow I told you the case has been continued to next year, there is no chance of a suspension, does Kamara move up your list and how far?
For me, since I had him the lowest out of the 4 of us, I'd probably move him, to 9 where the 3 of you have him at the most.
So 2 spots for you.
Yes.
Cinch, do you move Kamara up if there's no jeopardy of a suspension?
I could see him going anywhere from 4 to 7.
That's where I have him.
So about 2 spots-ish for you, ish.
Yeah, I would probably have him at 6 right behind Dalvin Cook personally. Yeah, I agree. I think that's my advice to you folks listening to this is watch the Alvin Kamara thing carefully. If you get the draft day and there's this whole thing has been pushed into next year, he might be a value. Last person I want to talk about really quick, because I believe it or not, we are already starting running behind schedule. Number 10, DeAndre Swift. Sean isn't here to defend himself, but he had DeAndre Swift all the way up at 8. Is Swift a buy candidate for you or a sell candidate? Because I'm going to say number 11 is Leonard Fournette and number 12 is Nick Chubb. And only Craig has Swift in the last position among those three. I'm looking, where's Cinch? Yeah, Cinch has Swift in the middle. Are you guys buying on the DeAndre Swift thing? Is he a value at 10? I feel like that's overpricing him personally.
I think if you get him between 10 and 12, it's a good spot for him.
Okay.
Because of the team he's like, he does catch a lot, but he is on the Lions. And like, I want the Lions to do well, but you know, they're the Lions still right now.
Since are you buying DeAndre Swift as a first rounder?
No. I agree with everything Craig just said. It's because of the team, and also he's too small. I don't think he could stay healthy. I don't think he's a 16 or 17 game contributor.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? When it comes right down to it, when they're on the goal line, are they giving it to him or are they giving it to another running back?
Right. Because of his size. That's a good point. All right, let's move on because we got so much to cover yet. Number 11 is Leonard Fournette, as I just mentioned. We've got Chubb at number 12. From here this point on, we don't have a whole bunch of outliers. Number 13 is David Montgomery, and that's because I am a David Montgomery stan. I swear to you, one of these days, David Montgomery is going to have a breakout game, and I will go to my grave believing that, even though it'll probably never happen. James Conner at number 14. We have Javonte Williams at 15, and we do have a little variation there. 16 is Saquon Barkley because apparently he's still in the league. 17 is Antonio Gibson. 18 is an old former number 1 in Ezekiel Elliott. Number 19 is Josh Jacobs. And number 20 is Travis Etienne. So a couple things to unpack here. Let's start with the big question mark in the room, which is Saquon Barkley. I've got Barkley at 22. I can't rank him higher than that. I want to rank him higher than that. I can't do it. Cinch has, I should have locked this into position. So, because now I'm scrolling down the list and I can't see all my people.
I had him at 14.
Cinch has him at 14. Craig has him at 20. Sean has him at 13.
That's because of his wife. We all know that.
Well, Sean is married to a Giants fan. Cinch, I want you to, because Sean isn't here, make the case for Saquon Barkley.
New head coach, new offensive coordinator. They came from Buffalo. Buffalo figured things out with Allen, and I'm not saying they're going to figure things out with Daniel Jones, but that's because I don't think he has talent. I think Barkley has all of the talent in the world. I think all of last season was like a rehabbing year, and now he's a full year away from that surgery. If he stays healthy and he hasn't lost a step, and those are things that you could very easily say he's going to have that bounce back season. I think he could bounce back. I think he has the potential to be a top 10, maybe even a little bit top 7 kind of running back. I don't think I believe it. I think that he should be about where we have him, but that's the upside of what could happen.
Okay. I'm just going to move because Craig and I have already discussed this. This is injury, right? For us, that is for me. It's injury.
It is.
The guy can't stay on the field.
It's injury and the team he's on, but mostly the injury part.
Right. I mean, if I could look into a crystal ball and tell you that he's going to play 15 to 17 games this year, it might move him up a spot on my list. But it wouldn't move him up a ton because he's still a giant, and I think they're still figuring things out. I hear Cinch's point. I've heard this before. New coach is going to change things around. I'll have to see it. That's one of those I'll have to see it to believe it. One of the things that I think is going to have to be seen to believed is Ezekiel Elliott. I've still got him at 15, but as a consensus, we have him at 18 because Cinch has him all the way down at 23, and Sean has him all the way down at, I'm not sure, Cinch has him all the way down at 19, and Sean wasn't far off. He had him at 18, so I'm the only guy who put Zeke in like the conversation as a potential RB1. He's on the edge at 15 for me. Why are you guys, obviously, Zeke has had some trouble. You don't think there's any chance to bounce back? Since you have him all the way at 23, Zeke at 23?
Yeah. I don't think he's the best running back on his team.
Wow.
I just don't.
I
don't believe anymore. He's lost a step. Anytime he runs around to the outside, if he's going around the tackle, he's getting tackled. You know, he's not breaking free from anyone unless he's running, north to south straight up the field in between the guard and the center or something. Otherwise, he's slow.
Craig.
Yeah, I don't see it, and he shares time.
The same. I think they're going to try to utilize Pollard more, especially since
Mm-hmm.
he catches so much. And from a fantasy outlook, you score receptions. So that's a big thing for me. And I think I'm starting to think Jerry Jones is regretting the contract he gave Zeke. So I don't know. I just think the Cowboys, it's always going to be their year, and it never is. But
Yeah,
I
it's
agree with
always
Cinch that since he's had COVID, he just, I don't know, to me, he's just lost something, whatever that something is, and it's just, he's not the same anymore.
I always love people who know me in real life know that I think that the stupid internet meme with the woman screaming and pointing at the cat Smudge who's angry at Salad. Everyone has seen
Yeah.
this. There's a woman screaming and pointing, and they put up something, and then the cat says something snarky. One of my favorite ones is the woman is pointing and she screams, "The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl this year." And the cat responds, "Only if they buy tickets." And it's one of my favorite internet memes of all time. And that it just goes, we hear this every year. This is the year the Cowboys are putting it together this year. And someday it'll happen. Statistically, it's got to.
Right.
But I don't think it's this year either. One real quick thing before we move on to the post 20 people. Cinch, you have Travis Etienne way lower than everybody else. Is that because he's, coming off the injury and we haven't seen him? Why no faith in Travis Etienne?
It's the injury. We haven't seen him be an NFL player yet. He's on the Jags. I have no faith in them putting up a lot of touchdowns, scoring a lot of points. They have Robinson there as well, so he's sharing time.
Fair.
That's just a case of I need to see it. I'd rather have someone else that I've seen do it.
Fair. All right, let's talk about our next grouping. This is the 21 to 30. So this is the end of the tier 2 or RB2s. We got number 21 is Cam Akers, and there is some division on this. We're going to get into that in a second. Number 22 is Clyde Edwards-Helaire because everyone's down on him except for me, and I'm right, even though I'm a Chiefs homer. 23 is J.K. Dobbins. 24 is Breece Hall. Number 25 for us is A.J. Dillon. Cordero Patterson, who someday will decide what position he plays, comes in at number 26. Number 27 is Miles Sanders. 28 is Melvin Gordon. 29 is Damian Harris. And then rounding out our top 30 is Tony Pollard. There's a lot to unpack here, and we don't have a ton of time, but we'll do our best to do it. I am way down on Cam Akers this year. Everything I'm hearing in terms of his recovery is on track. But I'm drawing a complete blank on the guy's name. There's an orthopedic doctor who comes on Fantasy Football Mornings frequently with the Guru, and he is like, I am not hopeful based on what I've seen out of his recovery and out of this injury, knowing this type of injury. So I am way down on Cam Akers. Cinch, you're a little bit higher than everybody else. Are you optimistic that Cam Akers can bounce back?
I don't know. I mean, you put him. He's on a team. They got rid of. They didn't re-sign Sony Michel. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Akers and
what's his name? The other guy who gets
Robinson.
hurt all the time. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Harrelson?
Yes. Daryl Henderson.
Henderson, that's it.
Jeez, that only took us 3 minutes.
Well, you know what? He's on a team that's going to score a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
If he's healthy, if he's involved in the offense, I have no problem with him being wherever we ranked him in 20, 21.
Mm-hmm.
If he's out there for 16, 17 games, he'll be higher rated than that. We ranked him where we ranked him because I guess you guys don't think he'll be healthy, and that's a legitimate reason to rank him low.
And this grouping has a lot of folks in that category, right? Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins is coming off of injury. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't been the same since his injury. Miles Sanders is on the injury report now, somehow, even though he hasn't touched a football. Melvin Gordon's there's a lot of folks on this list that are kind of in that same vein. Craig, I want to jump to you because as much as I'm sitting here asking why Cam Akers is so high on Cinch's list, you've got Cordero Patterson all the way up at 18th, which pushed up his ranking on our end because some of us didn't even list him. Sean didn't even list Cordero Patterson in his top 35. So why should people believe Patterson could be a potential running back too this year?
Just from how they used him last season, and someone has to run the ball. in Atlanta. So it's going to be him as long as he doesn't get hurt. So that's more of one of the he's going to have more touches than a lot of these other people in this range that we have them. So I think that moves him up for me.
Okay. We're going to move down now to our last bit of our list, which is the 31 plus range. Number 31, we've got Chase Edmonds. Number 32, we have Elijah Mitchell. Number 33 is Kareem Hunt. Number 34 is Devin Singletary. Number 35 is James Robinson. Number 36 is J.D. McKissick. I'll be honest, I don't even know what team he's on anymore. Michael Carter comes in for us at 37. And then ranked at 9.8 millionth is Walker, the rookie from Seattle. So there's a couple names on here that are really interesting to me. These are a lot of these guys are guys that would potentially benefit from injury of people they're sharing time with or ahead of them. Example, Devin Singletary. He's still in Buffalo, right? I didn't miss something there, did I?
Yes, Buffalo.
Yes.
He's in Buffalo. So there's a guy ahead of him that he's sharing time with. Kareem Hunt is behind Nick Chubb. Elijah Mitchell and Michael Carter are both in the same kind of setup. Which guy here are you most optimistic about? Like, this is like flyer range, right? This is where you're like, okay, I'm mid to late rounds. These are guys that I could use in a pinch, but there's also a chance that they break out. Since I want to start with you, who do you think has the most upside out of this grouping, the 31 plus grouping?
It's like you said, I think it would be dependent upon one of these guys getting traded, which never happens, or someone they're sharing time with getting injured. Kareem Hunt, if Chubb were to get hurt, that would jump him way up high. Damian Harris with the Patriots, if everyone he's sharing time with, because the Patriots like to use 3 or 4 running backs, and that's why he would be much higher if he were on a 1990 football team where he's just run 30 times a game, run. So when you're reaching this point in the draft, you've got to be talking about this guy is probably going to be your 4th or 5th running back on your roster. So my thinking is at that point, either look for the guy with the most touchdowns or look for the guy who's going to get the most receptions per game. If you're in PPR, that's instant points.
Right. All right, so before I jump to Craig with the same question, I just want to correct myself. I said Elijah Mitchell was on the same team as Michael Carter. For some reason, Elijah Moore and Elijah Mitchell got switched in my head. Elijah Mitchell is obviously with the San Francisco 49ers, not with the New York Jets. Craig, same question. Who do you like on this list that could potentially have good value for you?
Oh, man. So for me, it would probably be... It's a kind of a tie between Hunt and Singletary. I think both of them have huge upsides to them, especially if you get them later. Because if they're sharing time, so they are going to play. But if the guy in front of them gets hurt, like they are the next man up. So you can, not that you want to see anyone get hurt, but I'm just saying if you look at it, or if you want to handcuff who's ahead of them, then they would be the right people to get. But I think those two have the most upside out of everyone in that range.
I would agree with you guys.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in for a quick second.
Please.
I have had Singletary in my Dynasty League, and he has had every opportunity where Moss has been hurt, and he's the guy. And he's on a team that would rather have the quarterback run it in from the 5 instead of handing it off. He doesn't get the touches. Stay away from Singletary. That's my 20 seconds. It's
kind of like the same thing. You notice we talked about Henderson and Akers before, and I'm sitting here and I'm down on Akers, but I don't have Henderson in this listing. And the reason being is very simply because every time Henderson has had the opportunity, and he's had the opportunity since he came back where he was going to be the guy when Akers was hurt, and the Rams were so disappointed what they saw that they went out and traded for Sony Michel. So these guys are all a little bit of a reach for me. Honestly, I am not done with the Michael Carter experiment. For me, I don't know if Breece Hall is going to... Breece Hall is really, really freaking good. So it's probably going to be Breece Hall, the Breece Hall show. But if I'm looking late round and Michael Carter is still sitting there, I'm probably grabbing at him. So, all right, let's recap the list really quick, and then we're going to go to final thoughts, because believe it or not, we're already out of time. The Fignuts consensus rankings are in order: Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook at 5. Joe Mixon comes in at 6. Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, and DeAndre Swift comes in at number 10. Leonard Fournette and Nick Chubb round out our RB1s, with David Montgomery coming in as our first RB2 at number 13. James Conner, followed by Javonte Williams, followed by Saquon Barkley, then Antonio Gibson. Ezekiel Elliott comes in at 18, and then Josh Jacobs at 19, and Travis Etienne rounds out our top 20. Cam Akers is at number 21. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is at number 22. J.K. Dobbins comes in at 23. Breece Hall at 24 rounds out the RB2s for us. Number 25 is A.J. Dillon, followed by Cordero Patterson, Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon, Damian Harris, and then Tony Pollard at 30. If you're still listening, because this is a long list and you're now in the dregs, Chase Edmond comes out at number 31, Elijah Mitchell, Kareem Hunt comes out at 33, Devin Singletary comes in at number 34, James Robinson at 35, J.D. McKissick is at 36, Michael Carter is at number 37, and at 9,867,575th comes Walker, the rookie from Seattle. Before we go to final thoughts, I got one last question for you gentlemen. I want you to pick somebody. Oh, getting mic feedback. Yep. Everybody okay?
I think Cinch is good now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All good.
I got mic feedback for a second. Okay. Last question before we go to final thoughts. Outside the top 20. So I'm talking about 20 and beyond. I'll make it a little bit smaller just so it's probably a little bit easier to see. What one guy here is most likely to vastly outplay his ranking? And I'll start because this popped in my head. The one guy on this list that we have ranked, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire at number 22. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm not going to say he's an RB1, but I think if he stays healthy, Clyde Edwards-Helaire could knock at the RB1 door and possibly be a top 15 running back this year. I'm not calling it, but he's definitely somebody I'm watching out there this year because I think there's a chance it could happen. What guy in these bottom 20 people are you really looking at? This is a guy who could really outperform their ranking. Let's go to Craig first.
So for me, as you know, if you listen to this, I was always a huge J.K. Dobbins fan until he got hurt. And then seeing how the Ravens offense goes with them just giving the ball to Lamar to do whatever you want, that kind of dropped me on Dobbins a bit fantasy-wise. But for me, I'm going to have to stick with the guy who I ranked higher is Cordell Patterson. He is it in Atlanta right now. I think after last season, he kind of proved that, saying he can run and catch. And then my second vote would be Tony Pollard. I think he's going to have a huge year as well.
Cinch, who's the guy who can outperform where we have him ranked?
Craig turned into Sean and gave two opinions.
Yes,
it did.
give me one name, Sean Craig.
All right, the correct answer here is New York Jet Breece Hall. We have not seen him in the NFL. If he is as good as some people like to say he is, he will be a top 10 running back. It seems as if he's already taken the job away from Michael Carter and he's the starter. Yeah. So if that's the case, the Jets had a great draft. They got talent. They got more talent. I think they had the
Sauce.
best draft of anyone. Now that they have Sauce, they'll be changing the name to Heinz Field. Things are looking up. So
how have they not sold? How have they not sold the rights to Ragu or Prince spaghetti sauce already? I mean, just
they should.
Maybe they're waiting for him to play one game in the NFL first.
True.
Yeah, I mean that might be it. So, all right, gentlemen, believe it or not, we are out of time. We're actually overtime already, which is okay. It's okay. Again, most important episode of our year is running backs, and Sean wasn't here for it, which is a shame because he didn't get to tell us about Walker, the rookie from Seattle. But let's start with our guest, Cinch. Cinch, what's your final thought on running backs, life in general, this episode? Go where you will.
Well, my final thought on running backs, when you're drafting, you should be able to come up with two solid, you know what you're going to get kind of guys at running back. After that, don't be afraid to reach. If there's a rookie you like, if there's a James White type, a PPR guy who you know is going to get 8 catches a game, even though he's not a real running back, don't be afraid to reach if there's a guy you like at running back, as long as you have 2 or 3 guys ahead of him.
Good point. Good point. Craig, what do you got for us?
So for me, again, you really want to pay attention to running back because, as you can probably tell from these rankings, there is going to be, fantasy-wise, there is going to be a bit of a drop-off. So I'm all for trying the 0 RB thing, but definitely pay attention to who's left. And also, I just want to mention that I did send Deb a picture of Carl because I said Carl brought us the beer. She does not believe Carl is of age to buy beer, and I said that he has an ID to prove it, even though it might be fake. That's about it.
Listen, we're not in a position to question Carl's credentials or if he paid someone to do it for him. I did not see Carl the cat possess the alcohol, so at no point do I think any laws were broken in Carl the cat giving us. God, this donation has given us more trouble. Deb's been pissed off because we didn't acknowledge her first donation. Now can a cat buy alcohol? I don't know. I just watched a video game online where a cat could utilize a backpack. So
exactly.
I don't know what to tell you there. My final thought kind of goes off of both of your guys, which is the biggest mistake I think people make in season-long fantasy, and this is particularly with running back, is they think the draft wins them their league. This year, and our rankings show it, I guarantee you somebody that we have outside the top 20 ends up as an RB1. I'm willing to guarantee it because it's going to happen because injuries happen, teams change, priorities change, breakouts happen. You have to work your waiver wire. Draft smart, but do not be afraid to make a change if somebody gets injured, and you have to pay attention. Pay attention. You can't always commit the extra slots on a roster towards a handcuff, but you got to know who your handcuffs are. You got to know where they are in your league. If you have, oh God, Ezekiel Elliott, I don't know why his name just flew out of my head. If you got Ezekiel Elliott and you're not rostering Tony Pollard, you better damn well know who is, because you might have to go and get him. And if he's not rostered, you need to know that too, because you're going to have to probably work the waiver wire for him. The biggest mistake people make, I think, is not paying attention to waiver wire. The second biggest mistake is thinking that the waiver wire only happens the first 6 weeks of the year. Leagues I have won are the leagues where I'm the only guy who can bid on somebody in week 10. Do not blow all of your budget. I hear this all the time. Oh, I blow 80% of my budget in the first 7 weeks because that's where all the good players are. Great. When you've got $15 left and I've got all my money, all I need to do is bid $16 on the guy who's going to win me my league. Pay attention to the waiver wire and budget smart. Do you know what else is smart? Leaving us a review. It's the best thing you could do to help our small podcast grow. Whatever podcast directory you listen to us on, go there and leave us a review. We're on so many now, I stopped trying to list them. So please, leave us a review. Also, it's draft season. You got a question about your draft? You want to chat with us? You want to give us some ideas? You want to ask a question? Reach out to us. You can reach out to us at email. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com. We are at fignutsdfs on Twitter. And we also have a page on Facebook, the Football Fignuts Podcast. I got an email from Facebook this week saying, hey, there's been an increase in viewership on your page. I was like, oh, that's nice. It's draft season. I'm not shocked. So please reach out to us in whatever way you'd like. We'd love to hear from you. We'd be happy to hear your questions. And just like that, gentlemen, another hour of our lives is gone. The 2022 running back extravaganza is over, which puts us officially halfway through our ranking season. Next week, gird your loins and be prepared for the wide receiver conversation, which is always a problem because we rank about 73 of them and we never get through the whole list, which is fine.
And then Sean will scream about value and how we need more wide receivers on our rosters.
I'm sure. I don't have my phone with me, but I have his rankings on my phone. But I'm sure there's somebody just identified by a last name like Davis on his rankings. And I'm just going to be like, is that Willie Davis? Is that Gabriel Davis? God help us. You know what? The easy one is going to be Brown.
Yes.
Really?
Exactly.
Marquise? Amon St. Ra?
Pick one.
Antonio? Are you really thinking AB's coming?
He might be. You never
You
know.
know,
With
it
him.
would not put it past me if he was like, well, Antonio Brown might get his shit together. Okay, he might. I also might get drafted, but that's a long shot.
Hey,
So.
he does have a rap album, so you know.
He does. I wish him well with that. And we wish you all very well. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week. I want to thank Cinch, as always, for joining us for tonight.
Thank you for allowing me to join you.
We really appreciate your insights. Until next week, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
That's the Cinch, and we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.
Hi, Deb.